I would say that it's to dream big but start small, and to think about what's the most important, what's the core, uh, what differentiates you from the others, and to implement this part in the first place. Uh, Build something small, get it to the market, get feedback, see how it goes, then look for further investment, or maybe you'll start even earning like with the smaller product, and then add features, grow to make it gradually.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Anatolii Landyshev, and that's as close as I'm going to get. So with that, start out the journey. So Anatolii, and that's is how I'm going to pronounce it, was into computers growing up, but his parents, I didn't have a lot of the money to buy it, so he saved up his own money, read a lot of books, and read a lot of books about computers. Also got into playing guitars a bit. And then decided or had to make a decision if he wanted to be an engineer or a musician, and decided to choose the engineering route. And then started working for a friend's company. Ended up splitting ways and started with a freelancing company with another friend, and that got a little bit of growth and started to take off. Started landing bigger clients, and then started doing more marketing and growth with the business. Company evolved over time and started to develop video games, but not as much potential growth from the business perspective. So started doing more of the web and mobile apps and moving on to the consulting for web services, which is where he's at today. And with that much as introduction, welcome on the podcast.
Thank you.
So awesome. Well, excited to have you on. And so I gave kind of a quick overview to a longer journey. So why don't we rewind and unpack a little bit? So tell us a little bit about how your journey got started as you're growing up, both liking computers as well as playing the guitar.
Well, so it started long ago. I was pretty much good at school, at everything, like at all subjects, and it was very hard for me to choose my career path. And at the same time, I was going to musical school, and I was a winner of some contests in music, in playing the guitar, and my music teacher wanted me to go to become a musician. And I also wanted to become a musician because, like, at school everything is normal, like everyone is good at school, but at music it's like you're thinking about fame, being a superstar, rock star, something like that. But back in Ukraine, where I am from, being a musician is not a good idea. Like you can end up in the street, and my mother understood it, and she told me, like, do anything you want, but you need to get an education of an engineer. And so I went to one of the best technical universities in Ukraine. It's a Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, and my motivation was like the following. A lot of Ukrainian rock stars they graduated from that university, so I thought, okay, I'll go by their steps. I also go to that university and I'll play in some rock bands and I'll become a rock star. But it was different. I met some other people in that university who somehow influenced my view of the world, and I got interested in technology, etc. And even me and my friends, while being at university, we started the first company.
So now, what was that first company that you guys started while you were going to university?
So one of my friends, he had some ideas on creating his own company, and he had also support from parents on that, and and it felt quite cool at that time. Like we are still students, but we can work at our own company. Like the life is successful already. And so we started, and so we really started that company. He rented the office, and after the university, we were going to that office, just programming something. But actually, like in fact, we had not a lot of clients. We had some clients from freelancing websites, and we worked just without money, etc. And also, like when we started working together, the relationship were not that good, like because when someone is a manager, there are different types of management. Like there's some kind of pushy management when uh, someone like expects a lot from you, and this was not good. And so and we decided like well, we can make the same, but with the good management, like the company where people will be happy. And like me and my current co-founder, we left that company and we started working like actually in the same manner, but just like freelancers at first. But then like I was more like a technical guy, and my friend, he is my friend and co-founder. He is more of an entrepreneur, and he started finding different people who wanted to work with us, like other engineers, uh, also from our university or from some other places. Like he had a lot of contacts, and we started just we were good at selling. We made good proposals on websites for freelancers. Like now there is Upwork, and back in those days there was Elance, for example, and Odesk probably. And so we crafted good proposals, we sold, and there were some people who were working. And
Now, yeah,
yeah.
let me add maybe one thing. So if I remember right, so you guys decided, you were working with your friend's company, kind of split off when the freelancer route. Now, you guys, when you got into it, or was that when you guys started out in video games first before you decided to make the pivot, or kind of what was that initial kind of inception of the company, or where'd you guys start out?
So first we were good. Actually, back in those days, we already knew several technologies. So personally, I started as a C++ developer, but then uh, there was something like a gold rush on iOS development, Objective-C, and we were good at it. And the first thing we started doing, we were looking for the projects for iOS. There were a lot of people who wanted to create their like a torch application and create and make millions. You know, back in those days. Now it's not that simple. Now the store is already very cluttered with different applications.
So now, so that's kind of where you guys started, and then I think as we talked a little bit before the podcast, kind of as most journeys do, you guys started to evolve over time, or started to maybe pivot a little bit of the direction as a business continued to evolve. So maybe help us or clue us in a little bit about or how that evolution took place.
Yeah. So first we started creating iOS applications. One of the first applications were like a ticketing system, like QR codes for tickets, and also there was we made a complete copy of Instagram at that time, but for dogs. Like people were making photos of their dogs and put in there. And it was even in production, like working. But then we started getting some projects, so like in gaming, the games for iOS, and we started learning the game engines. And then we thought, okay, like the traditional development is not that interesting. Like just Windows, just UI. Games are more interesting. Let's make games, and we like totally switched our focus, and we started looking only for game projects. Uh, and also, like first, we started making games just for iOS, but then there is a Unity engine that it was gaining popularity at that time, and it's allowed to make cross-platform games, like for all platforms, and also in 3D, like for PC, iOS, Android, and we learned Unity, and we became like all of us actually like became Unity developers, and we started making games in Unity. And we were making games like for probably 8 years. There were some even pretty big projects like multiplayer online games with like 2 million budgets. But we were like participating in those projects. We weren't like implementing the whole project of that size.
No, sounds like it was a good kind of evolution as you guys continue to grow and mature as a business. You kind of figured out where the market is, where your talents are, and how those kind of fit together. So now as you did that, kind of catch us up a little bit as you're at, or where you're at today. Are you guys still doing games? Are you still in that marketplace? Have you shifted? Have you pivoted? Kind of, where's the business at today, and where do you see things headed?
Well, actually, it's not that we really found the client at that time. So we were good at making games, but our clients back then, they were mostly just people who wanted to try, to make a game, and they were operating their own personal budgets. These budgets were small, so this is not really. So these are not the clients you can grow the business with, because they have limited capacity, and then we understood that we actually make the mistake, and probably this is actually the biggest strategic mistake we made, because we followed our own wishes, not the wishes of our clients, something like that. So we wanted to make games, and we started making games, but actually it appeared that it's pretty hard to be a service company in games. Most game studios, they have own developers, and even if they outsource something, it's mostly art. And we were not so good at art, but we were good at development. But we couldn't find the clients that needed us as a separate company. Only these beginner game designers who wanted to try to make their own game, and that felt not right. Like we understood that there is no future in working like this, and we need to work with businesses, and we couldn't find the way to make games for businesses. And so we started looking at the other opportunities. Like at that time, VR and AR became popular, and we started looking at VR and AR for businesses. We even we made some simulations, for industrial simulations in VR. Tried to enter the simulations market, and we had some really interesting projects in that niche, like even like with some big US corporations, and that we understood that is the way. So we need to work with businesses. But when you work with businesses, VR, AR is just a top of what they need. Actually, like when you like every business needs a website, and most of businesses who sell their services online or mm, who have online presence, they also need some kind of service, some kind of a backend, business logic, and then it also comes to infrastructure, cloud computing, etc. So this is there is a whole set of services that businesses now need. And when we were making just AR and VR, and there was a lot of other things that other companies were doing, we felt that this is a space for our growth. So we can we can do more and we can grow more if we make also web, mobile, backends, DevOps, cloud, and so we started growing in that direction. I personally, back then, like I am a CTO. I personally learned React, Vue, like some frameworks, and I even made the first version of our own website. And also, like apart from that, we hired experienced engineers in those technologies, and we started growing our team, and it worked. So now I think that nowadays most of the clients we work with, they use this technology. So for almost all the clients we work for, we make for them something from the web or mobile.
Awesome.
And the 3D development, like that, the parts of games, some interactive experiences, it became kind of our difference from other companies. It's something that like a niche, and nowadays there is a trend for metaverses. Metaverses. Actually, like in all the conferences now, everyone talks about metaverses. And metaverse is like a representation of some interactions, some business processes in 3D. Like if usually before we were using just 2D websites, 2D interfaces for interaction. Now people are presented as avatars. They are interacting with in 3D. They feel like presence of other people, and due to our past experience in video games, our expertise became very. It became good for working on metaverses, and we have a couple of metaverse projects right now, and one of them is used by companies like IBM, Microsoft, and companies like that.
No, sounds like it's been a great evolution of the business, and continued to find your niche and be able to grow the business. So that's awesome. So, well, now as we kind of reach the present day of the journey, great time to transition to the two questions I always ask at the end of each episode. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? What'd you learn from it?
Well, the worst business decision is that we chose our strategy. Like it was actually to start making games. I still believe this was the worst strategic decision because we spent pretty much time, like 8 years, without growth actually. because we switched our focus based on what we wanted, not based on what our clients wanted. We didn't think about the market. So what I learned from that is that you need to think about your client first, and think what your client wants, and do what your client wants. And if you want something but the client doesn't want it, there's no guarantee that it will work.
No, I think that that's a great takeaway. And I think, too often we kind of think, oh, I am the client, or I know what the client wants, or I'm coming from that situation. And sometimes that's true, but there's a lot of clients out there, and sometimes you can overlook or miss things that are really the opportunity or really what the client wants, because you don't always listen to them, or you don't do enough research, because you're excited about the opportunity and building the business, and you're seeing, other avenues you can go. So I think that's a great takeaway, is to an easy mistake to make, but a good one to learn from, is to listen to what the clients want and where the opportunity is. So with that, now I'll jump to the second question, which is, now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
Actually, I meet a lot. we work with startups, and often the startups, they come to us, and they, like, for example, want to make a product, and they want to make everything all at once. Like, there are startups when people want to combine, I don't know, Facebook booking, I don't know, a lot of other websites, and make startup like that. It's like, it's impossible to fit a lot into a small budget. And usually startups, they don't have so huge budgets. And so what is the most important is, I would say that it's to dream big but start small, and to think about what's the most important, what's the core, what differentiates you from the others, and to implement this part in the first place. Build something small, get it to the market, get feedback, see how it goes, then look for further investment, or maybe you'll start even earning, like, with the smaller product, and then add features, grow to make it gradually. This is probably.
No, I think that's definitely a great piece of advice, great takeaway, and I think that there's a lot of good wisdom in there. So, well, as we are now wrapping up the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, or you could write to our website. There is a website, wizardtech.com, like Wizardtech.
All right, awesome. Well, for those that are watching the video version, wearing the Vizitech t-shirt, and you can pick that up, and also make sure to connect on LinkedIn, check out a great company, support a great business, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you, the listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners, make sure to click share, subscribe, and leave us a review. Helps us to share these journeys with even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. Last but not least, if you ever need help with your startup or your small business with patents, trademarks, or anything else, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.